More than 200,000 troops in Saudi Arabia, with more troops and armor to come, and the kind of air power that Iraq has never had to face. Saddam Hussein says now he wants to talk, that a deal can be made.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, reporting tonight from Jordan.
Good evening. Earlier today in Baghdad, the Iraqi president told us that every critical issue in the Middle East was negotiable, and he did not rule out negotiating an end to the Iraqi occupation of Kuwait. The man who conquered Kuwait and who has said in the past that any army trying to dislodge him would be burned by the blood of Iraqi martyrs, said today he did not want war. In fact, he said it over and over again. He admitted his only justification for holding Americans hostage was to protect himself against American attack. The interview took place at a government guest house in the center of Baghdad. The president was more than aware that he was talking to us as the debate about how to resolve the Gulf crisis becomes more intense.
Iraq, for its part, sees that the right way to go is the course of peace, and that peace should be comprehensive, complete, and final. But as to details, if the solution is going to be an Arab solution, and then
يكون من أهم الذين ينبغي أن يجري بينهم حوار مباشر هو العراق والسعودية.
The parties most important to have dialogue between them would be Iraq and Saudi Arabia.
Have you been speaking to one another?
لم نتحدث فيما بيننا.
No, we haven't spoken to one another.
Will you begin?
وهل ستبدأ مثل هذا الحوار؟
من ناحيتنا احنا مستعدين على طول الخط. نحن دائما مستعدون لإجراء الحوار مع الأطراف المعنية.
We have been ready all along. We are ready to talk to the parties concerned.
Mr. President, you say that if there's going to be an Arab solution, the important parties to talk are Iraq and Saudi Arabia. But there's an international coalition in Saudi Arabia. If it's to be an international solution, who are the important parties?
كما نرى بأنه أهم طرفين
the way we see it is
ينبغي
that
أن
the two most important
يجرى
parties
بينهما حوار
who should conduct deep dialogue, who should have deep dialogue between them,
وشامل لكل القضايا,
deep and comprehensive dialogue between them, comprehensive, covering every issue, all
تحقيق
issues,
السلام الشامل في المنطقة,
towards the achievement of a comprehensive peace in the region.
إذا ما أريد أن يكون الحل دولي,
that is, if the solution is going to be an international one,
هما
then
العراق
these two
والولايات المتحدة
parties should be Iraq and the United States of America.
Any dialogue between you and the United States now?
في آخر لقاء لسفيرنا في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية,
The last interview or meeting our ambassador to the United States has had
مع أحد المسؤولين الكبار في الخارجية,
one senior official in the State Department, in the U.S. State Department.
أبلغ بأنه
الخارجية العراقية سيدي.
الخارجية الأمريكية.
The U.S. State Department. Our ambassador was told that dialogue was being conducted through the ambassadors in both capitals. But of course, the way we see it is that dialogue of this nature is simply communications, communicating positions on either party.
Mr. Bush, Mr. President, has said repeatedly that he will be ready when you unilaterally withdraw from Kuwait.
هذا ليس حوار. هذه شروط إذعان على أي شيء إذا سيتحاور معه.
Not dialogue. These are preconditions for capitulation. On what basis, what kind of dialogue is this? On what basis is there going to be dialogue between us?
بعد ذلك سيتحاور معنا هل يبقى في قبر الرسول وفي الكعبة.
Will the dialogue be then between us on whether he was going to remain occupying the our sacred places and the tomb of the Prophet in Mecca, or will he continue imposing this boycott, this blockade upon us? This is not dialogue. These are preconditions imposed to ensure our capitulation.
وشروط الإذعان مرفوضة من قبلنا.
We reject such preconditions.
As you say when you do that the United States is imposing preconditions, does that mean that your present position in Kuwait is negotiable?
أنا عندما أقول كلام أقصده.
When I say something, I mean it.
ثم أوجه سؤال إلى الإدارة الأمريكية.
And let me ask the American administration.
هم لماذا يصروا على عودة الأمور إلى ما كانت عليه قبل 2 آب؟
Why are they insistent that things should go back, should be restored to how they were before the
هل تخطط
2nd of August?
الإدارة الأمريكية لتزوج أمير الكويت 20 زوجة أخرى مثلا من أمريكا حتى يضيفهم إلى الزوجات 70 الموجودة عنده؟
Is the American administration planning to see to it that the ruler of Kuwait is married again to another 20 women from the United States, so in addition to the 70 that he already has?
أم يراد له أن يطول عمره في الحكم النوب مرة أخرى لكي يضيف 60 مليار أخرى إلى الملكية التي يملكها؟
Or is it that the United States wants this ruler to continue and live long so that he may add another 60 billion to his personal wealth, from which he took from the wealth of the nation and of the people?
Mr. President, I'm sure you know.
هذا النموذج الذي
This is the
يدافع
kind
عنه
of example that Mr. Bush is trying to defend.
أليس في هذا فضيحة
Isn't this a
على
scandal
المبادئ الأمريكية؟
in itself? Isn't this scandalous in itself to the American principles, to the very principles of the United States?
Saddam Hussein also had harsh words today about another Arab leader, Hosni Mubarak, president of Egypt. Referring to him only as Hosni, he described Mubarak as traveling around the Gulf with his suitcase, looking for money, and doing exactly what the Bush administration tells him to do. In a moment, Saddam Hussein on the subject of the American hostages.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Presto Salad Shooter.
Crisis. He gave an interview to CNN, the cable news network, and here's our White House correspondent, Britt Hume.
In an interview with the cable news network, the president talked tougher than ever about the Gulf situation, saying his new troop buildup is a clarion signal that neither he nor U.S. allies will compromise one bit. He acknowledged that the weak U.S. economy is now a factor in the Gulf policy equation.
I think they are related, and I am worried about the economic slowdown, and I'm worried about a continuation in the Gulf of this kind of a standoff right now, you might say, adversely affecting our economy further and the economy of other countries further.
How long and how bad a slowdown, do you think?
I'm not an economist, but most seem to feel that if we have a recession that meets these technical terms, that it will not be deep and that it will come out of it relatively soon, 6 months most. And I'd like to think that is true. The oil question that comes from Saddam Hussein's taking over of Kuwait is a big question mark here. That is the major question mark in terms of the depth of the slowdown or recession.
The president has been meeting over the past week with his advisors, with regulators and bankers and businessmen on the economy. The news has not been good, and his remarks today suggest he is feeling added pressure to resolve the Gulf standoff soon, believing that Saddam Hussein not only holds American citizens hostage, but its economy as well. Britt Hume, ABC News, the White House.
Two religious leaders have spoken of the Gulf today. The president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops delivered a letter to the White House saying that weapons of war should not be a substitute for political solutions in the Middle East. And in London, Robert Runcie, the Archbishop of Canterbury, said the economic sanctions on Iraq should be given a year. If they do not work then, he said, military force should only be used as a final resort. We'll have more on the Gulf later in the broadcast. In a moment, Sam Donaldson will have the day's other news.